I think now it's starting to definitely grow massively, just like how, veganism is starting to become more mainstream. There is becoming a shift in consciousness, and people are becoming a lot more aware about how their consumer choices are kind of affecting people, in far off lands and stuff like that, and how, we're destroying the planet at a staggering rate. So ethical fashion is definitely becoming a lot more mainstream now. It's kind of how a lot of brands are conducting their business. Everybody's always communicating things about who they are by the way they look. Even if you don't care about fashion and you kind of go for an anti-fashion look, you're still communicating that you're anti-fashion. In London, you are constantly, because I'm going to work every day and go to castings, and in the job that I do, I have to look a certain way. You have to look like you're on trend, and look nice and whatever in order to book work. You're constantly absorbing all this advertising from everywhere. So, people don't want things just intrinsically. They want them because they're told by society that this is what you must have. So, just like how if you work in fashion, you're told you must have the latest silhouettes and things like that. People here think that they need to buy a house and get on the property ladder. When, before, Margaret Thatcher came in and kind of introduced the right to buy, that was never really a thing that was important to the British public. It's not important to a lot of people who live in Europe. They just rent. Because having a house ties you down, ties you into debt slavery. Yeah. If people don't understand the way that the financial system, for example, is set up, they'll never understand why we have this infinite growth model, why we keep on producing and consuming all the time. If we didn't have this fractional reserve banking system where, we would have a sort of corporation that prints money, loans it to the government, then the government distributes that money into the system, but has to repay it back with interest, which creates a cycle of debt slavery, we won't understand why our system constantly oppresses, so many people around the world, enslaves animals, enslaves humans. We have to understand that, and we have to understand why it is before we can actually think about changing it. Yeah, so basically, when I sign with a new model agency, they will always ask me what I'm willing to do. Am I willing to smoke? Am I willing to pose topless? Am I willing to pose nude? Am I willing to wear fur? They don't ask you if you're willing to wear leather because they just take that as a given. It's completely socially acceptable to wear leather and things like that. They do ask you if you're vegetarian or vegan though, which for catering. But yeah, they don't ask you if you're willing to wear leather, so that's kind of a given that you are okay with that. But fur is something that I've always said that I'm not okay wearing, and a lot of shoots they've tried to make me wear fur, and I'll say I'm sorry, I'm not allowed. I'm not okay with wearing that. Fur coat on me, and I was just a bit like, I don't want to wear this, but I knew that they had to get all those looks shot by the end of the day to get up on the website on time, because fashion works in seasons and works to deadlines and things like that. So if I be a pain in the arse and say I'm sorry, I'm not going to wear that, then they're just not going to book me again. They're going to, because I'm their regular model, they're going to find another model who is perfectly willing to wear everything and is not going to make a fuss. So that's a regular client that I've then lost out on. So I did wear it that time. This was actually before I was vegan, but I was vegetarian. But nobody on the shoot actually liked it. The stylist was like, oh my god, fur coat, disgusting. And the photographer was like, what's that? Is that fur? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, okay, whatever. And we all just did the job. And this is exactly like, when we talk about ethical fashion, we talk about how people are enslaved, we talk about building collapses in factories in Bangladesh and stuff like that, and we're just like, why is this happening? Doesn't anybody care? It's not that they don't care, it's not that they're evil or that we're bad people and that we have no morals, it's just everybody is enslaved by this system. Everybody has to keep a roof over their heads, everybody has to put food on the table, and people are just too concerned with what's going on in their own lives and making sure that them and their families are fed to worry about, what's happening with somebody far away. And, you just think, well, if it wasn't me, then somebody else would do it. And of course, if everybody said that, then, we'd just have a really, really terrible world if nobody actually made the effort to make a difference. But people can only make a difference, there's a certain privilege that comes with being able to make a difference. Not everybody has that privilege that they can make that choice. And I think that's why it's sometimes important to not judge other people where they are not able to make that choice yet, but will make better choices once their basic needs are covered. So for example, if I'm getting booked by other clients every single day who are paying more money than this one client who wants me to wear the fur coat, then I have a little bit more power to say, no, I'm not going to wear that coat. And like, if you don't want to book me, that's fine. I don't give a shit because I've got other clients who want to book me. I've been working every single day, like from 9 till 6 a.m. So I have to wake up at 7 a.m., you know, go to work, finish 6 p.m., go to the gym. Maybe I have time to like, you know, see a friend afterwards or whatever. Most people do not have time to read all the books that we read, to watch all the documentaries that we watch. That, you know, most people are just too busy being corporate slaves, basically, to actually understand that their consumer choices have, you know, wide-reaching effects on other people, animals, and the world. They don't know that, and I can't blame them for not knowing either, because I've been so exhausted like the last couple of weeks, like working every day, that I'm just like, of course, like people who work their 9 till 5 jobs, they don't have time, especially if they've got kids. If you've got kids and you work a 9 to 5 job, how are you going to know any of this stuff?